Oud isn't half the bottles you are buying right now. If you've ever picked up a bottle of Middle Eastern fragrance, Tafa, Khadlaj, any of them, there is a very good chance it has oud in it. And in the fragrance community, oud is the word. It's the flex. It's the note people name drop to show you they are serious. Somebody says a fragrance has oud in it, and suddenly it sounds expensive and grown. It sounds like they know something you don't. The first oud I ever owned scared me so badly that I gave it away within a few hours of spraying it. And that whole story behind that particular bottle is part of the reason, or one of the many reasons why this whole episode exists. But first, this is Arabian Scent Files, the only fragrance series that treats Middle Eastern perfumery as a subject worth studying, not just a place to find cheap alternatives. Every episode goes deeper than the bottle. I'm Zoba. Let's get into it. First oud, it was a Lattafa called Amir Al Oud, really intense oud. When I looked up the notes and what it's supposed to have, the notes said it's supposed to be oud and vanilla. And frankly, most of the reviews I saw said the same thing. I'm a fan of vanilla in fragrance. I am a fan of vanilla in fragrance. I was like, well, a little bit of this mysterious oud everybody talks about wrapped up in one of my favorite fragrance ingredient, vanilla. Sounds interesting, sounds great. Let's give it a try. I got it, I sprayed it, and that is not what I got. What I got was straight, intense, dominant, almost pungent oud. There was no softness, no vanilla, not a whisper of vanilla anywhere inside. Just this loud, fierce oud that filled the whole room and would not leave. And honestly, to be honest, it frightened me. Like I couldn't find one friendly thing in it, so I gave it to my brother. And the part I can't explain till this day, my brother swears that he smells the vanilla. Like he will spray it and say, "Don't you get that?" Or he will spray it in the air and say, "You're not picking up the vanilla in it." I'm like, I've tried it a couple of times now and I've never once found the vanilla anywhere. So we're talking about the same bottle, the same fragrance, two different people, two completely different scents. And eventually, before the end of this episode, we'll come back to why that happens because it's one of the most fascinating things about this whole ingredient oud. But in that moment, I did not care about the science. Well, I didn't know about it and I didn't care. I just knew the ingredient oud and I were done. Scared me off. It's not for me. And for a while, that's exactly how I live. Like I will see oud in the label and I will put the bottle back down or remove it from my shopping cart. I read a review raving about some oud fragrance and scroll right past it because I figure I tried it and we did not get along at all. So for me, oud was actually a closed door for a while. So a few months go by, and here is what pulled me back. I was building out my fragrance wardrobe. I'd come up with 10 profiles that I want to be represented in my fragrance wardrobe. And while figuring out the bottles in my collection and where they fit, I was trying to find out where the gaps were. And I realized I did not own a single Middle Eastern fragrance. Like I had fragrances, I talked about this in episode 1. I had fragrances that came from Middle Eastern perfume houses, but not a true Middle Eastern fragrance. And everything I read, every list, every guide, every person who supposedly knew more than me about fragrance said the same thing. If you want real Middle Eastern or Arabian perfume, you have to go through oud. There is no way around it. So I made myself walk back up to the door that is oud. And the bottles I reached for was Lattafa Opulent series. And the first one I actually tried was Opulent Oud. And I fell in love, head over heels from first spray. This is the bottle that turned oud around for me. The first spray was rich, it was dense, it was confident, there was warmth. You get a little bit of the spiciness from saffron and cinnamon, but they were not a star. Like they were just there and they kind of went away. Like for me, it was the oud. Like the oud walked straight in. It didn't wait. The oud in opulent oud does not build slowly. It's there front and center from the very first second. And then as it settles, the rose comes in and adds this sweetness to it, which is odd because rose is another dominant ingredient in fragrance. Rose is another ingredient. I'm looking forward to the journey, hoping I find a rose version of opulent oud, something that makes me like rose. Right now I haven't found it. But my experience with rose has always been it comes and it bullies every note. But in opulent oud, surprisingly, it doesn't do that. It doesn't soften the oud into something you don't recognize. You still smell the oud, it's loud, it's clear. The rose gives it like a warmth and a sweetness. They're not fighting each other is interesting thing. Like the oud is there, it's unmistakable, but you know the rose is there as well. But they're not fighting for attention. They just work really well together. Like you want to lean into it instead of back away from it. And hours and hours and hours later, the perfume is still around. It's still sitting there. You can still identify the oud and the rose. Maybe, something else, maybe amber, but primarily the oud and the rose. And it's comfortable. Like I've worn this opulent oud for a full day, through a shower, through lotion, washed my hands, woken up the next morning, and I could still identify it on my skin. Like some perfumes, by the time you wash your hand, they start to fade, like you're sniffing really hard to find them. I don't have the same experience with opulent oud. I mean, eventually, of course, it faded away. It's just, it took a while. Opulent oud is not a soft fragrance. The oud in it is just as bold as the oud in Amir Al Oud. It's just as loud. The difference, I think, is that one oud was gentle and the other one was harsh. And probably the difference was the rose in opulent oud. There is just something about the rose in it that makes the whole thing approachable. The oud is still fierce, but the rose gives it somewhere to soften and make room. The best way I can describe the difference between opulent oud and Amir Al Oud is that they remind me of two uncles. And some of you might have uncles, one or both of them, but both of the uncles are loud. Both of them are intense. They spend most of our childhood scolding us, wherever they saw us, fierce men, kind of men who make you a little anxious the second they walk into the room. But there's a difference between them. One uncle is so intense that he doesn't actually talk with you. He doesn't listen. He's not interested in a single thing you have to say. And honestly, it can be borderline cruel. You just cannot learn to stay out of his way. The other uncle is just as loud, just as intense, makes you just as nervous, but if you're not lying to him or being stupid, he makes room to listen. He will go to bat for you in public, but he'll be really strict behind closed doors. In front of other people, he's the first one that will stand up for you, but like he will chew you out, inside the house. He's fierce, but he's loyal and he's reliable when you're in trouble. You just have to know how to approach him and when. Amira Oud is the first uncle. Opulent Oud is the second uncle. And I think that right there is the whole secret of oud. It's never about the oud being softer or stronger. Oud will always be oud. It's fierce either way. It's loud either way. I think what changes it is what the perfumer who's working with oud builds around it. In opulent oud, it was a mix of different things, but primarily the rose. So if you've ever told yourself, oh, I hate oud, I want you to think about something. Maybe you don't hate oud. Maybe you just met the first uncle first. I would say almost everyone who got scared of oud, met an Amir al oud before they ever met an opulent oud. They met the first uncle before they met the second uncle. That's not oud being bad. That's just one face of oud that's met with no introduction. I'm hoping that by the end of this episode, you will know how to find the right one. These days, opulent oud is one of my favorites. A fragrance I reach for when I want to feel bold, when I want to feel luxurious, when I want to walk into a room and be felt before I open my mouth. It's not a quiet little daytime scent. It's an evening, cooler weather, here I am kind of fragrance. The kind you wear when you want presents, but I will wear it during the day and wear it during hot weather. I just need to adjust the number of sprays. Maybe instead of 3, maybe do a 1 or 2, something like that. And if you followed me for any length of time, you already know what I believe. Fragrance is armor. You don't leave the house without it. And opulent oud is one of the best armor I own. So here's the part that still gets me. This bottle, this bold, luxurious, last through a shower, best armor I own bottle, I paid under $20 for it. And when I went and looked at what oud actually is, where it comes from, what it costs, I couldn't believe that there is a bottle that exists at under $20, giving the price or the cost of oud. Because everything I was learning told me oud should be one of the most expensive things you could ever put in a fragrance bottle. So how does a 14 or under $20 bottle of oud forward fragrance even exist? That's what made me want to make sure I included this episode in the series, Exploring Oud. I found two things as I was looking into oud, and we'll explore them in depth in part 2. But the first one is that oud is the most expensive raw material in all of perfumery. It's not one of the most expensive, it is the most expensive. There is nothing else in a perfumer's kit that costs what real oud costs. And the second one, oud does not grow in Arabia. The most important ingredient in Middle Eastern perfumery doesn't come from the Middle East at all. Like the Arab world has been bringing it in from clear across the ocean for 1400 years. So how is it that the most expensive material in perfumery is still sitting in my under $20 bottle of fragrance? How is it that that most expensive material in perfumery can end up in bottles that are so affordable? And how does something that doesn't even grow in Arabia become the very heart of Arabian fragrance? Like, to me, that's really interesting. But we'll dive into that more in part 2. In part 2, we're going to look at the history, the trade, and the science of oud, and honestly, how these perfume houses actually pull it off. I'll see you in part 2.